So the question, we've talked about the planning, now let's talk about why we would want to do front-end planning. And that goes back to that early question I asked you, why do certain projects do much better than other projects? And that was one of the essential questions that we wanted to answer as we started this research years ago. We've answered it multiple times with multiple sectors and multiple looks at different things, but the answer is always pretty clear. If you do good planning, just like the old adages say, just like the old quotations say, if you do good planning, you're going to do better in terms of your project performance in many different ways. If we look at cost and we look at schedule, these are different samples that we've pulled over the years and statistically significant differences between subsamples that were well planned versus poorly planned based on a certain metric that we took, 6 to 25%. Most of them are up more around the 15 to 25%. 6 to 39% on schedule performance. And these are versus the baseline cost and schedule at the end of the planning phase versus the final actual schedule performance when you finish the project. Right? I didn't put in here, but we've actually looked at operability, we've looked at safety, we've looked at customer satisfaction, we've looked at many, many different measures, and in most cases, there's statistically significant performance improvements if we do certain things during that front-end planning process to be successful. So the data are out there. Where do they come from? Almost lost my heart, started beating again when it went black. We've looked at over $125 billion worth completed capital projects, over 1,300 projects in the last 28, 29 years. So big samples, usually in some of the cases these samples were randomly selected, in other cases they were convenient samples, looking at different slices of the industry for different parts of these studies, but lots of projects. So I've had a good chance to take a close look at a lot of projects over the years with a number of colleagues and students. This number is more closer to about 400 companies now. It's closer to 400 than 300. We've looked at that many organizations and their planning processes and gotten data from them and gotten information from them through surveys and so on and so forth. So, big body of knowledge. 3 big ideas have come out of this. Let's do the right project, let's scope the right things, let's set the stage for successful execution. How much does it cost? Again, rules of thumb, what we found was that to do effective front-end planning, about 1.5% to 5% of the total project cost would get you to good or effective front-end planning. So an example, a $100 million building or 100 million pound building would cost somewhere probably around 2 or 3 million pounds to do an effective job of front-end planning. And that for every pound expended in a number of these studies that we went back and looked, you're going to get 3 to 10 pounds back in performance improvement. That's pretty good return. I would like to have that return with my money, and I think most of us would. You know, at the end of the day, all of this planning stuff, everything that we're talking about in the front eventually gets done. Sometimes it gets done 2, 3, 4, 5 times, right? And that's the real problem that we see because it delays things and it costs more.